What's going on, fragrance family? It's your man Gator, better known as the novice nose out here in these fragrance streets. You know, one of the houses that really stood out last year when it came to that inspired by fragrance game is Joe Milano. Their Game of Spades series actually did a few different DNAs last year, and they did all of them really well. You had fragrances like Boston, you had fragrances like Rouge that took off on Baccarat. You had a bunch of different fragrances out there that really did their thing. Two of them in particular, though, that were not just pretty accurate, but they really kind of caught fire in the community. That was Game of Spades Full House, which I love, great imagination interpretation, and Wild Card, which is a great Lafayette Street interpretation. Well, they're at it again, man, with one of their newest releases. This fragrance, man, really intrigued me when I saw the colors, and then even more when I saw what it was actually inspired by. This is Game of Spades Emerald. Now, I just told you they had a lot of great inspired buys last year, so this one has some big shoes to fill. How did it do? Well, we're gonna talk about it because I did get to spend a good bit of time with it. You know the drill, guys. Go ahead, pull up, stay tuned. Now, again, the fragrance that we're talking about today is the newest one from Joe Milano's Game of Spades line. It's called Emerald. Now, it's not a secret that I'm a huge fan of that Game of Spades line from Joe Milano. Huge fan of Full House. One of my favorite takes on that imagination DNA. Wild Card. You know, Lafayette Street was my signature scent. And while there are some differences in it, in Wild Card compared to the OG, it's still actually a pretty serviceable, if not dang near identical, in the late dry down version of that DNA. This one was one that I was super excited about, though. This is Emerald here. Let me get the bottle here. Now, to be completely honest, man, the camera does not do this green justice, man. This is a bright, vibrant green here. Now, it has that little spade cap on it. I'm not the biggest fan of the spade cap. This actual box has like glitter all over it, and that glitter just sits everywhere. So I just chunked the box as soon as I had the opportunity to. But this is their take on the house that shall not be named, their fragrance Symphony, which is actually a beautiful, simple, but beautiful fragrance, high quality. This one, let's get into it. All right, so let me get a little spray here. As you see, the atomizers on these always top notch when it comes to Joe Milano's fragrances, man. So let me get into the breakdown here on the notes. So the notes in this one, you have bergamot, top notes, bergamot, ginger, and grapefruit. The heart notes in here are orange blossom and neroli. So a little bit of a deviation from what Symphony lists. And then they said that's accented by ginger here as well in the mids. And then your base notes here are musk and ambrette. So I gotta say, I've spent a little bit of time with Symphony here as I was trying to get to know this one, but also as I was trying to get to know the newest drop from Paris Corner, Memories of Summer. And both of those two fragrances are different takes on the Symphony DNA, but neither one of them is 100%. Let's get into this one right quick, though. Now, one thing you'll never have to worry about with that Game of Spades line with the Joe Milano fragrances is quality as far as the oils that they're using. They're always going to have those quality oils. This one is no exception. However, the difference between the original and this one does come down to the fact that the original has even better quality in their oils here, and it makes a difference in the opening. Like right away, there is a big difference between the two. So in the original Symphony, when you first spray that fragrance on, you're going to get this beautifully aromatic, spicy ginger. It almost like it's a fresh cut ginger that you just kind of grind a little bit. So it's really pushing up on the fragrance there. And you've got like a really, really tart, like bergamot in there. And what it's doing is it is a very realistic style of bergamot. So it really kind of gets a fresh, spicy, almost sour type of vibe to it. This one does the same thing, just not to the same extent. You won't have the exact quality, that natural. This is not really a photorealistic style of ginger, although the ginger in here is pretty crisp. It is pretty lively, so it does push out pretty well here. Now you don't get the same amount of tartness in here from that grapefruit bergamot blend. It's just not the same pungency as it is in the Symphony, the actual OG fragrance. So there's the biggest difference in the opening. Now, honestly though, if you were to tell me that, you know, you're gonna pay a quarter, literally a quarter for this than you would be paying for the original, and actually it's less than that, I would say I would take this, that little bit of that pungency, that little bit of the photorealisticness that the Symphony, the original, has over this one. I don't think it's worth the extra $200 or $300, but we'll get into that in a little bit. The way that this presents, though, pretty much mirrors the way that Symphony actually presents as well. So you're going to open up, like I said, you're getting that tartness, not quite the same tartness in Emerald that you would get in the, you know, in the House That Shall Not Be Named version. I'm going to just start calling it the OG, right? So not the same exact tartness that you would get in the OG, but it does come across pretty realistic. Not the same amount, but pretty realistic. It does come across as high quality, and it does project. It really booms off your skin the same way that the original does. So you're getting, as soon as you spray it on, that tartness, that liveliness from that ginger, and it just really pushes and it projects. And you have to be careful how you spray it, because it can brutalize your nose if you're not being careful. This one, I found, even though the ginger seems a little bit more realistic in the original, the ginger in here does really pop. It's got a texture to it, and it really does push. So you have to be careful when you're spraying this one. The atomizer in this scenario, the fantastic atomizer that this one has, that pressurized, it comes in handy, because that way you can kind of gauge how you spray it. But in all honesty, the two, while, you know, they are pretty, you know, pretty much the same from the get-go, it really comes down to the quality of the oils that are in here, and the photorealistic nature that you're getting in the OG as compared to this one, as far as the differences go. Now, that's up at the top, right? So in the beginning, that's all you're getting as far as like the deviation. But what I found is that as you start going into that like hour or so into these fragrances, they really start to kind of have some differentiating qualities. So I find the original Symphony to be somewhat linear. Like, it doesn't really have like this you know, multifaceted, layered kind of vibe to it. You're getting what you're getting from the top. You're getting that tartness from the bergamot and the grapefruit. That citric nature is really pounding, and you're getting that fresh cut ginger that's really gonna kind of go out throughout the life of that fragrance. Long lasting, beautiful, but fairly linear as it's progressing. This one, with I guess a little bit of the muskiness kind of creeping in around that, you know, second, third hour mark, you can kind of pick up a little bit of a deviation, but not by much. You're pretty much getting what you spray on from the get-go. This one, after that about hour or so, hour and a half or so, you start picking up little hints of more of a musky tone, a little bit more of a lot more than you get in the original. Sorry, House That Shall Not Be Named. You get a little bit more in here, as far as like the muskiness, as it gets into the dry down. Now, this is where I feel the biggest difference between these fragrances starts to happen. This fragrance on me seems to almost go around that third hour mark or so, almost gets into a little bit not only musky, but almost a slightly soapy kind of vibe. Not like a lot, not a major soapy type of, feel, but it almost comes across a little bit musky, a little bit more soapy than the original. So it kind of deviates from being more just a citrus bomb like the original to being kind of like a musky ginger bomb, as it kind of goes into that dry down into like that second and third hour. That being said, that's also when you start to really notice the differences between the two as far as performance wise. While the original has a very long lasting vibe to it, I mean, I've gotten 10 hours on skin on that fragrance. This one, I get somewhere in that range of about 6-7 hours here. I did get 8 the other day, but it was literally just that one time where I got 8 hours. Now on close, it does last all day, right? So, but let me getting ahead of myself here. When you're getting into that dry down and to that second or third hour or so, that projection that was really booming at the top, and actually before that, I would say maybe into that first hour to hour and a half, that projection really starts to kind of shrink in to where once you get into that second and third hour with this fragrance, projection is maybe about a foot, maybe about 2 feet. When you get into that fifth hour, you're looking sixth hour, you're looking mostly at a skin scent. Now the beauty of that though, even though it's the beauty of this one, I should say, is even though it is a skin scent, that ginger vibe still really kind of remains and pushes in the sillage. So while it does kind of lose a good bit of projection going into that fifth and sixth hour, you're still getting a pretty nice, solid little sillage that's kind of following you around a good bit. Now, that being said, some people may like the fact that it doesn't project the same way that the original does. And to that I say, this is going to be a lot less out of pocket than you would have with the original. I really do like the wearing experience with this one though, because even though it doesn't have that, they're both fairly linear. Like I said, this one comes across a little bit muskier in the dry down, just a little bit. But while they're both fairly linear, I like the way that this one does perform, right? It's got a really solid performance on this one. And like I said, when you spray it on clothes, it's going to last until you wash them. It's that type of fragrance. So guys, needless to say, there is a lot to like about this fragrance. This thing is juicy. It is effervescent. It really does kind of go after that vibe that you get in the original Symphony. Now, it doesn't exactly achieve the quality, the naturalness, the vibrancy of that fragrance, but it does a really good job of getting you close. And at the price point that this one is at, man, this is an almost no-brainer if you really are into that DNA. And I mean, I was a big fan, of course, of Full House, a big fan of Wild Card, and this one goes up in that top 5, man. This is really, really good. And like I said, at that price point, it gets close enough to that original DNA to definitely take a gamble on this one. Game of Spades, gamble, ha ha ha. Anyway, guys, I really do like this one. Looking forward to wearing this some more this summer, guys. Have you put your nose on this thing? Let me know in the comments, guys. And as always, man, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share this video with somebody you know that loves fragrances. And as we always say, guys, no matter what you're doing, whenever you're doing it, make sure you make today the best day ever on purpose. Peace out.